Hello again. This is Evan Fallbaum. This is another Clowns and Robbers production diary video. Haven't checked in a while. Last time we did one of these, we highly suggested that the next one would be on set. I think I've actually suggested that in the last two, and both times we were wrong. However, we are very close. We are 5 days from our first day of filming, which is a pretty big deal. We actually had a big production meeting yesterday in here that I should have gotten some footage at, but I wasn't thinking about it because now comes the time where we have a billion decisions to make in a very short period of time, and my brain's going to turn into a bowl of mashed potatoes, and at the end there will hopefully be something interesting out of it all. There's some of our costumes back there. So the camera will be shooting on right there. Some bags of fake money. You can't really see right there. It's Monday, and Saturday we start filming a big scene, a bank robbery scene, in an old bank that's got no furniture or anything in it, and we're gonna set deck the whole thing. It's gonna be one of our, probably the most elaborate, like, real set that we have in the movie. Just in terms of volume of stuff that we have to bring in to put in to make it look right. We've been through a lot of changes in the script since the last time I checked in. I'm technically on my fourth complete rewrite of this movie since I first had the idea way back in 2012. That's when I first wrote the Clowns and Robbers feature film, and then changed gears and decided to make a short film out of it first for the Louisiana Film Prize. We did that, released it in 2013, got into the film prize. Did not win the film prize though. That film is viewable on our YouTube channel, the short film version. That was like fall of 2013. We shot that in like spring of 2013, released it in fall of 2013. Basically at that same time was when we decided to try and do the paranormal. So we started writing it that fall, like October, November. We shot that in winter / spring of 2014, basically within 6 months of starting to write it. And then it took me all of 2014 and then into the summer of 2015 to finish post-production of that film and release it. And then that finally went on to YouTube in October of last year. And then January of 2016, this year, is when I did my first production diary video and said, hey, let's go back and do that clowns feature that I wanted to do way back when, before I got distracted by a short film and a whole nother feature. So with the first feature, then the short film adaptation of the feature, and then starting January, we started writing the feature again from scratch. I didn't even go back to the old script to look at it. I just figured enough of that seed was in my head. And then over the course of almost exactly 6 months, we wrote the third version of Clowns and Robbers. We got all the way up to a full 90-page script, finished it about a month ago. Started looking at it very similarly to how we did with Paranormals, which is that we kind of wrote the kind of ideal version of the movie that we wanted to make. And then when we kind of stepped back and looked at, all right, now how are we going to actually make this thing? We kind of got stumped by some things, and with Paranormals, we did this big rewrite about a week before we started shooting, where we rewrote about half the script to simplify locations and stuff. We kind of had the same thing happen here on Clowns and Robbers in the past couple weeks, which is that since our last video, our diary video, I was kind of reading over the script and talking to my wife. She's also the producer. It was a good script. It was kind of the idea that I always wanted to do, kind of a nice solid version of it. It made sense. It was a well thought out script, and it was totally doable. Kind of going back to some of the things we talked about in the early production diary videos, where it's like I didn't know if it had enough of that like sort of X factor, which I know is sort of weird to talk about in the script phase because a lot of that comes through in the production and kind of how it ends up becoming something tangible. But there's part of me that felt like there wasn't enough in the script to challenge me, and there wasn't enough. I wasn't putting myself in a position where I was going to be forced to sort of be as creative as possible, I guess. Uninspired maybe is a good word. It had become too much of a movie. Like I just kind of made the normal movie. And so I kind of basically had a midlife crisis moment with the movie, and I was like, all right, how do I shake things up? How do I make this a little more exciting for me? Every time we make a movie, it feels like it could be the last. There's a way that it's like it gets harder and harder, and every time it's like, gosh, are we really, if this was the last movie I ever made, would I be happy with it? And so the answer was no. So we thought about how could we change things up to make it exciting and introduce elements to it that we wouldn't be able to predict, and make it sort of, make the production almost more of an adventure in itself. How do we kind of push ourselves outside of our comfort zone and kind of get really into it? I started over from scratch basically with the script. There's maybe 2 or 3 scenes that are more or less the same as the last draft. We threw out the whole second act of the script and decided to turn it into kind of a road trip movie. And the reasoning for that is that we are literally, as a production, going to hop in 2 cars and go on a road trip for a week in the middle of July, a couple weeks here, and bring kind of the bare essentials to make the movie. Bring our 3 main characters and me, and somebody run sound. And we're gonna go drive cross country and shoot a third of the movie on the road. Now the fun part about that is obviously it sort of throws caution into the wind, and we are gonna just have to go out and the idea is we're gonna leave on a Saturday, we're gonna come back in a week, and when we come back we're gonna somehow, based on whatever happened, we're gonna have a third of our movie done. Whatever happens on the road, we have to embrace, and we have to go for it. And it's our way of designing a scenario where we're sort of not in complete control and embracing that and seeing what happens. So kind of hoping that helps to deliver that kind of quality that I've been trying to make sure this movie has. Just my circumstances in making films right now is really hard because we have we're not really taking time off work, or our day job is doing commercial video work, and that's fortunately something I work out of my home office, and we can sort of make our own time. And so I'm technically taking off a week, but when I get back, I'm gonna have to catch up on stuff. I'm still working on projects right now. Basically, constantly have other videos on in the pipeline that I've got to constantly stop and go work on. And I don't have my head 100% in this project all the time. That's been really frustrating. That's part of why it's kind of taken so long to get this project off the ground, and why, even though we were optimistic that we'd start shooting back in May and at least in June, and now technically won't be starting until the very first day of July, actually July 1st. Mostly that's just because I've been behind and tried to get all the pieces in play that we need to actually make a movie. We're making a feature film, and that's challenging. Within about a month or two, we should probably about 2 months, we should have a movie in the can, and then I'll probably have to stop for like a month or two and work on some client work and get caught up, and then slowly start chipping away at editing it towards the end of the year. And the other half of going on the road trip and taking that time off, since we are so busy, is to kind of force us all in a car together for a week where all we're doing is this movie. Normally you would always be doing that for a month or however long your shoot is. You'd be 100% involved in that shoot. Professionally, that's how movies work. Is everybody's all in during the process. We can't be because of our life situations. So for at least this 1/3 of the movie, we will be eating, sleeping, breathing, nothing but it, and that's kind of our chance to really kind of go in 100% and see what happens. So I know I've said a couple times, like every time we make a movie, it gets a little harder, and for some reason, like as you grow up, it seems to get harder too. I don't know if it's I guess it's more of a life thing. I was gonna say it's sort of a creative thing too. Sometimes you feel like you get less creative the older you get, but it's also because just life gets in the way more and more the older you get, and we're feeling that more on this project so far than ever. Not to get too specific with details and stuff, but pretty much every key member of this project right now is facing some sort of big crisis, whether a personal crisis or a financial crisis or career crisis, or we're all kind of struggling with stuff right now, family crises, and so it all kind of hit the fan really in the last couple weeks, right as we're gearing up for this. So it almost feels like, not to get too cheesy, but they say, art comes from adversity, and we certainly have our fair share of adversity that we're facing right now. So sort of exciting that we're actually as close as we are to shooting, despite that. It sort of hasn't even really hit me yet that we're shooting in 5 days. So I've got to get my brain in the right space. But it'll be fun, and I'm excited just to get back on set again. And it's been a while since we've done that, and that's kind of my favorite thing to do. So I'm nervous. I got butterflies in my stomach. It's been a long time. There's a lot riding on this, and I think everybody's got something to prove on this, and we've all been kind of working towards this and waiting for it, and I think hopefully we'll all get a chance to shine and do the best thing we've ever done so far. We'll see. 5 days and counting till we start shooting Clowns and Robbers. So, wish us luck. We will need it. And yeah, that's it. And if you want to see more immediate gratification than these videos, you can follow our Instagram channel, which is just Movie Sauce, and we post pictures and stuff as we're doing things, so you can kind of see a little more into what we're doing more instantly through Instagram.